Hi everyone, welcome back to my art channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today I'm going to do an autumnal pour. So the seasons are changing and I really wanted to have fun with a couple of creations using this colour palette. So all of my paints are mixed with a pouring medium, 3 parts pouring medium to 1 part paint, and all those details can be found in the description box. So if ever you want some more information about the ratios, the paints that I'm using, then check out the description box because it lists so much more information. I'm going to use my split cup and I'm going to do a ring pour. And this split cup was given to me by Sandra from Sandra's Sensations. So thank you so much, Sandra. I always use this. So first of all, I need to layer all the paints in my cup. So you'll see that I'm using one colour at a time and I'm just pouring some of the colours within each section of the cup. I will layer the cup with all the different colours, so each compartment within that cup includes all of the colours that you're seeing today. So I will list all the colours in the description box. Let's fill our cup up right to the top with our paint before we start pouring. So the season here in the UK has started to change. Our summer has left us and our autumn is beginning. So let me know in the comments below if this is one of your favourite seasons and what you really like about the current season that we're going to be in now. So I'm just going to finish layering the paints in the cup. And then you'll see I've already painted some of the edges. Now, I've done that because I don't know at this point whether I want to leave some negative space. And I didn't want the negative space to just be a white canvas. So that's why I've painted it the colour it is. Again, all those descriptions are in the box below. I'm slowly pouring out the paint in a ring pour fashion in one direction with my cup, going around and around whilst the paint falls out of the cup onto the canvas. That's going to create lots of lines. I'm going to ensure that I use all of my paint, and then what I'll do is I will take my torch and then get rid of any of the excess air bubbles before I start tilting out the design. I probably don't know at this point whether I'm going to tilt the full design over the full canvas, but that's why I painted the sections that you can see. It just gives me that flexibility to either leave some of the canvas blank or push it fully over the edges. I'm just getting the last drop out. I dropped it on my design, but that's okay because I know as I tilt it out, those edges will really go over the canvas, so I don't need to really worry about that. So the torch has burst all those bubbles, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick my canvas up, get a feel for the paint, and I'm just going to go round in a circular motion. And as I tilt this paint out, that's all I'm going to do is I'm going to move the paint across the surface of the canvas by moving it in a circular motion to fill the base of that canvas. It's at this stage that I'm thinking about whether to push all the paint over the edges or whether I completely fill the surface that you can see with the design that I've already poured out using the cup. I do want a good balance to this. I want to keep those colours almost in balance with each other because the autumn or the fall season when it comes is a combination of these colours and this colour palette. So I do want to keep that balance. But what I do is when I'm tilting out this design, I am doing it in a circular motion and I'm also turning the canvas as I go. I'm not afraid to move the canvas around, place it down, step back and have a really good look at the composition as I go. So at this point, I can see there's some really great details in those lines. So I have decided that I'm going to push this design fully over the canvas. So there was really no need for me to paint my edges or part of the base of the canvas, but that's okay because, as I said, that allowed me the flexibility to change my mind as I create. My piece of advice now is when you're tilting your canvas out, to ensure that the lines stay in place and you still keep that almost that circular motion, don't be afraid to, when you're tilting, move the canvas around with you. So you can see that I'm moving the canvas from one side to another, but also tilting it as I go. And what I'm doing is I'm not worrying about having a flow extender. I've got a lot of paint on this canvas, and I know that the paint that I've already poured out onto the canvas has the colours and the detail that I want to keep. So I don't need a flow extender on this occasion because I've got enough paint to make the kind of creation that I envisage. So now all I'm doing is I'm taking one side at a time, pushing the paint over those sides and then bringing it back on itself to allow me to push the paint that I've already got on the canvas over the other sides that I need to stretch the design out. And remember, there's really no rush. So enjoy being in the present moment. You know I'm a great advocate of that, of enjoying the process. Enjoy each stage of that process and don't worry too much about the end result. It's really important when you're creating and when you're being in that moment to enjoy it. So when you're tilting, just take your time when you tilt the paint across the canvas and over the edges. Bring it back on itself and then carry on tilting and change the composition that suits you. Have a look at the overall design. Don't be scared to put the canvas down on your stands or on your table. Step back and have a look at the design as it's kind of being created through the tilting process. Have an overall look of what you're creating. Have a look at the colours that you're making more prominent, or like with this one, I want it to be really balanced, so I want a good coverage of all of the colours that I've used. I'm really happy with this composition, so I'm just going to use my torch one more time to pop any of the excess air bubbles, and then I'll take you in for a close-up of the wet version so I can show you some of the details and some of the lines and some of the colours that I can see. And one thing that I would say is when I go in for a closer look, my camera does change some of the colours that I can actually physically see to what you can see. So just bear that in mind. Have a look on my other social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram for more pictures of this design too, because I'd love for you to see some more of the details that have been able to be achieved by using this technique and this design. I absolutely love this colour palette. Autumn and the fall are probably one of my most favourite times of the year, mainly because of all the colours and the way that the nature, the natural world changes within the environment. I find it absolutely fascinating. So what I'll do is I'll let this piece dry. I'll leave you with some close-ups of the wet version, but I'll also take you in for a look at the dry version. Okay, so here's the dry version and it dried beautifully. I've not yet applied my varnish. I always apply a gloss varnish to my pieces just to seal those pieces and finish them off. It's a Winsor & Newton brand and I use a spray varnish to allow a good coverage of that surface. So that's kind of my go-to for my varnish. But what I'll do is I will put all of those comments and details in the description box below. I'll leave you with some of the close-up now of the dry version, and I absolutely love the lines that have been created using the ring pour technique. And I absolutely do love this colour palette, and there's going to be more autumn and fall creations released over the next couple of weeks to celebrate the new season. Let me know what you think of this one. I really hope you enjoy it. I really love those lines that you can see, and that's probably one of my most favourite parts of this technique. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great week ahead, everyone, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.